My husband left me and our kids for his online girlfriend 8 years ago. Now he's back with an offer. That would make us rich, but there's a clause in his father's will that reveals his real motive. I served him divorce papers in front of our children. I don't know if I'm being selfish, but I need outside perspective on this. I'm 40 years old, and 3 weeks ago, I made a decision that my parents think makes me a terrible person. My ex-husband came back after 8 years and offered me what some people would call a dream life. I said no. And now I'm questioning everything. Let me back up. 8 years ago, my life imploded on a Tuesday evening. I remember it was a Tuesday because I'd just gotten home from Emily's parent-teacher conference. She was 9 then, doing well in school, and her teacher had nothing but good things to say. I was feeling proud, accomplished even. Nathan was 4 and had fallen asleep in his car seat on the drive home, so I carried him inside and laid him on the couch while I started dinner. Robert came home at his usual time, 6:15. He always walked in at 6:15, kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day. That night, he didn't kiss me. He stood in the doorway of the kitchen with his briefcase still in his hand and said, "We need to talk." Those 4 words. I've replayed them 1,000 times. I turned off the stove, wiped my hands on a dish towel, followed him to the living room where Nathan was still sleeping, his little chest rising and falling, completely unaware that his world was about to shatter. Robert sat down on the armchair. Not the couch where we usually sat together. The armchair. He set his briefcase beside him and looked at his hands for what felt like an entire minute before he spoke. "I met someone," he said. I remember the exact position of my body when he said it. I was standing near the bookshelf, one hand resting on the spine of a photo album we'd made on our 10th anniversary. My knees went soft, but I didn't sit down. I just stood there, hand on that album, and waited for him to continue. "Her name is Isabella," he said. And then, "I swear to God," he said this. "She's the hottest woman I've ever seen." Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I don't know how this happened." He led with how hot she was. I asked him, "How long?" He said, 3 months. Asked him if he'd met her in person. He said no, not yet, but they'd been talking every day and he'd realized something. He was unhappy. In our marriage. With me. I stood there holding that photo album, and I thought about our wedding day. About the night Emily was born, and he'd cried when they put her in his arms. About the 1,000 small moments that make up a decade of marriage, folding laundry together, arguing about whose turn it was to take out the trash, falling asleep on the couch during movies. And he was throwing it away for someone he'd never touched. Someone whose real voice he'd probably never even heard. "Are you leaving?" I asked. My voice came out steady, flat, like I was asking if he wanted coffee. He nodded, said he needed to do this for himself. Said he'd given it a lot of thought and he was going to meet her, start a new life. He promised he'd support us financially as much as he could, but he needed to follow his heart. Follow his heart. To a woman he'd known for 90 days on the internet. Emily walked in then. She'd been upstairs doing homework and must have heard our voices. She looked at her father, then at me, then back at him. "What's wrong?" she asked. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Robert stood up, walked over to her, crouched down to her level. "Daddy has to go away for a while," he said. Emily's face crumpled. "Why?" "I just do, sweetie. But I'll still love you. I'll always love you." She started crying. Nathan woke up from the noise and started crying too, even though he didn't understand why. And I just stood there, still holding that goddamn photo album, watching my family disintegrate in real time. Robert moved out the following week. He packed his clothes, his toiletries, his laptop. Left everything else. Left his children's baby pictures on the walls. Left the coffee mug I'd bought him that said, "World's best dad." The first month was the worst. Emily asked about him constantly. When was he coming back? Why did he leave? Did she do something wrong? Nathan was too young to articulate it, but he'd wake up crying in the middle of the night calling for daddy. I had to explain to my parents. My mom cried. My dad wanted to drive to wherever Robert was and drag him back by his collar. Robert's parents were devastated. His mother called me sobbing, apologizing for her son, saying she didn't raise him to be like this. They offered to help. Financially, with babysitting, whatever I needed. I took them up on it because I had to. I'd been a stay-at-home mom for years and needed to find work. Fast. My degree was over a decade old and my resume had a massive gap, but I applied everywhere. Coffee shops, retail stores, administrative positions. I got hired as a receptionist at a dental office. The pay was terrible, but it was something. Robert's parents watched the kids after school. My parents helped with groceries. I worked, came home, made dinner, helped with homework, put the kids to bed, and then sat on the bathroom floor and cried where they couldn't hear me. Robert sent money for the first few months. Irregular amounts, never enough to cover everything, but something. Then the payments became sporadic. Then they stopped altogether for months at a time. He never called the kids. Never asked how they were doing. It was like he'd erased us from his life entirely. I found out later from his mother that Isabella was real. She existed. But she wasn't who she'd claimed to be. She was a single mother herself, something she'd conveniently never mentioned to Robert until he showed up at her doorstep with his suitcases. She also had a gambling problem. A serious one. Robert stayed anyway. According to his mother, he'd already left one family. He didn't want to admit he'd made a mistake and leave another woman. So he stuck it out with Isabella while she drained his bank accounts at casinos and online poker sites. I didn't care. I was too busy surviving. Emily stopped asking about her father after the first year. She tried calling him a few times early on, but he never answered. Eventually, she stopped trying. Nathan never really remembered him. He'd been so young when Robert left that his father became more of a concept than a memory. Years passed. I got promoted at the dental office. Then I switched jobs entirely, moving to an insurance company with better pay and benefits. The kids and I settled into our routine. We weren't rich, but we were stable. We had enough. We had each other. Robert's father died 3 months ago. Heart attack, completely unexpected. We went to the funeral because despite everything, he'd been good to us. He'd helped financially when Robert disappeared. He'd shown up to Emily's school plays and Nathan's soccer games when his own son couldn't be bothered. At the wake, the family lawyer pulled me aside. Said Robert's father had left money for the kids. Not a fortune, but enough to make a real difference. Enough to cover college tuition, maybe help with the first car or apartment down the line. I sat Emily and Nathan down that evening and told them. Emily, 17 now, cried with relief. She'd been stressing about college applications and scholarships, worried about debt. Nathan, 12, didn't fully grasp the magnitude but understood it meant mom wouldn't have to work as hard. For the first time in 8 years, I felt like I could breathe. Like maybe we were going to be okay. More than okay. Then my phone rang last week. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello. Silence. Then, it's me. I knew the voice instantly. 8 years and I still knew it. Robert. I need to see you, he said. Please. I have an offer. Something that could help you and the kids. I just need to talk to you in person. I should have hung up, but there was something in his voice. Desperation, maybe. Or maybe I was just curious after all these years of silence. Why now? I asked. I can't explain over the phone. Please. Just meet me. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. Against every instinct, I agreed. I told him there was a cafe near my office. 2 days from then, lunch hour. I didn't tell the kids. Didn't tell my parents. I just marked it in my calendar and try not to think about it. The day came. I got there 10 minutes early, ordered a coffee I didn't drink, and sat by the window watching people pass by on the street. Normal people with normal problems. Not people about to have lunch with the man who'd abandoned them for an internet fantasy. He walked in at exactly noon. I barely recognized him. He looked older. Tired. There were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before, and his hair was graying at the temples. He'd lost weight, but not in a healthy way. He looked worn down. He sat across from me. Ordered nothing. You look good, he said. I didn't respond to that. Just waited. He cleared his throat. Started talking. It all came spilling out like he'd rehearsed it. How Isabella hadn't been what he thought. How she'd hidden the truth about her kids, her gambling addiction. how they'd fought constantly, but he'd stayed because he didn't want to be the kind of man who left two families. The irony was apparently lost on him. He talked about how his father's death had shaken him, made him realize how short life was, how much time he'd wasted being miserable, how much he missed us. Then he got to the real reason he'd called. His father had left him the lake house, the big property up north where we used to vacation before everything fell apart. Robert said he could sell it for enough money to set him up for life. Set us all up. I want to come back, he said. To you and the kids. I can give you a life you've never had. You'd never have to work again. The kids could go to any college they wanted. We could travel, do all the things we used to talk about. I know I messed up, but people change. I've changed, and I want to make this right. I stared at him. This man who'd left me crying on the bathroom floor with two traumatized children, who'd missed 8 years of birthdays and holidays and first days of school, who'd never called to ask if his kids were okay. And now he wanted back in because he had money and a guilty conscience. I appreciate the offer, I said slowly, but I can't do this. I spent 8 years putting my life back together. The kids have a stable home now. We're happy. And I don't trust you not to leave again the second things get hard. His face fell. I wouldn't. I swear I wouldn't. This is different. I've learned. No. I cut him off. My answer is no. I stood up. He grabbed my wrist, not hard, just desperate. Please, he said. Just think about it. For the kids. They deserve better than. Then what? I pulled my hand away. Then a mother who worked 3 jobs to keep them fed? Then grandparents who actually showed up? We're fine without you. We've been fine for 8 years. I walked out, sat in my car for 20 minutes with my hands shaking on the steering wheel before I could drive. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. He started calling, texting, leaving voicemails. Always the same message. Reconsider, think of the kids, we could have such a good life. My parents found out somehow. They called me too, said I should at least consider it. That Robert owed us this after what he'd put us through. That financial security mattered more than my hurt feelings. That's when I started questioning myself. Was I being selfish? Was I putting my pain above my children's well-being? They could have opportunities one could never give them on my own. I couldn't sleep, couldn't focus at work. I hadn't even told Emily and Nathan about any of this because I didn't know what to say. Then Robert's mother called and asked if she could meet for coffee. I met her at her house instead. She made tea, sat me down at her kitchen table, and said, I need to tell you something about the will. My stomach dropped. There's a clause, she continued. Robert's father, he was a complicated man. He was furious when Robert left you, heartbroken over what it did to the kids. So when he wrote his will, he added a condition to the lake house inheritance. What kind of condition? Robert only gets the house if he reconciles with you. Legally. You have to sign papers confirming you're together again. Otherwise, the house goes to charity. Everything clicked into place. The sudden phone call, the desperate meetings, the promises of a better life. He didn't want me back. He wanted the house. I drove home in a daze. Sat in my driveway for I don't know how long. Then I called a divorce lawyer. Yes, we were still legally married. I'd never had the money or energy to file for divorce while I was in survival mode. And Robert certainly hadn't bothered. The lawyer I found was a woman in her 50s who'd been through her own ugly divorce. She listened to my story, made notes, and said, I'm going to make this as clean and quick as possible. He abandoned you. We have documentation of that. This should be straightforward. That night, I finally told Emily and Nathan. We sat at the dinner table after we'd eaten. I told them their father had contacted me, that he wanted to come back, that he'd inherited money and wanted to share it with us, but there was a catch in the will that required us to reconcile. Emily's face went through about 5 different expressions. Shock, confusion, anger, something that might have been hope, then anger again. So, he only came back because of money? She asked. I think so, yes. What did you tell him? I told him no, and I'm filing for divorce. Nathan asked, Can I meet him? Just once. I wasn't expecting that. Do you want to? He shrugged. I don't remember him. I don't know. Maybe I should see him once so I know. Emily nodded slowly.
Yeah.
Me too. I have things I want to say to him. So I called Robert. Told him the kids wanted to meet him. He agreed immediately, probably thinking this was his chance to win us all over. We met at the park 2 days later. The same park where we used to bring the kids when they were little. There's a photo somewhere of toddler Emily on the swings with Robert pushing her, both of them laughing. He was already there when we arrived, sitting on a bench.
He stood when he saw us.
Smiled nervously. Emily walked right up to him.
No hug, no greeting.
Was it worth it? She asked. What? Leaving us. For her. Was it worth it? Robert looked at me, then back at Emily.
No.
It wasn't. I made a terrible mistake. You didn't answer my question. At the time, was it worth it? Did you think about us at all when you left?
He stammered.
I was confused. I thought I was following my heart, but I was just being selfish and stupid, and I'm so sorry. Did you think about us? Emily pressed. When you were with her, did you wonder if Nathan had nightmares? If I was okay at school? Did you care? Robert's face crumpled. Every day. I thought about you every day. But you never called. I didn't know what to say. Nathan spoke up then, quiet but clear. Did you love her more than us?
No.
No, buddy, never. I wasn't thinking straight. I had a midlife crisis or something, and I made the worst decision of my life, and I've regretted it every single day since. I'd been standing back, letting them have this. But I stepped forward now. I know about the will, I said. Robert's face went pale. Your mother told me.
About the clause.
That you only get the lake house if we reconcile. That's not why. Yes, it is. I pulled the divorce papers from my bag. This is happening whether you like it or not. We're done. We've been done for 8 years. Please. He looked at the kids. I can still help you. I can split the money from selling the house. You don't have to take me back, just let me help. Let me do something right. Emily shook her head. We don't need your charity. It's not charity, it's... We don't need you, she said firmly. We needed you 8 years ago, and you weren't there. We're fine now. Nathan nodded. We have Mom. And our grandparents. We don't need anything from you. I've never been more proud of my kids than I was in that moment. Robert started crying. Actual tears running down his face, saying he was sorry. He'd made such a huge mistake. He understood we couldn't forgive him. I handed him the divorce papers. Sign these. Move on with your life. We're moving on with ours. We left him sitting on that bench, walked back to the car together. Emily took my hand on one side, Nathan on the other. Can we get ice cream? Nathan asked. Yeah, I said. Yeah, we can get ice cream. The divorce will take time. But I don't care. For the first time in 8 years, I feel like that chapter is actually closing. My parents called again last night. My mom apologized for pushing me to reconsider. Said she understood now that Robert hadn't changed at all. He just wanted his inheritance. They're supporting my decision to move forward. Robert's mother called too. Said she was proud of me and the kids. That her son had made his choices and now he had to live with the consequences. She said the money Robert's father left for Emily and Nathan would still be theirs. It was separate from the lake house situation. That gave me some relief. I blocked Robert's number this morning. I don't need to hear any more apologies or explanations or excuses. I took a half day off work today. When I got home, I sat the kids down and told them I was taking them to Disneyland. We'd been talking about it for years, but could never afford it. I'd been saving slowly, and with the promotion I got last month, I could finally make it happen. Their faces lit up. Emily hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Nathan started listing all the rides he wanted to go on. For dinner, I ordered pizza, and we watched a movie together on the couch. Just the 3 of us like always, like it's been for 8 years. I don't feel guilty anymore. I don't feel like I'm depriving my kids of anything. They have what they need. They have love, stability, a mother who shows up every single day. And honestly, we're better off without Robert. We always have been. My ex-husband came back offering money and a second chance. I said no. And I'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. We're writing our own story now. And it's going to be a good one. Update 1. It's been a month since I served Robert the divorce papers. I need to share what happened because some of you reached out asking for updates, and honestly, it helps to write this stuff out. First, the good news. I got promoted. Again. I know. I can barely believe it myself. The insurance company where I work expanded their regional department, and I was offered a management position. The pay increase is significant, like, I don't have to check my bank account before grocery shopping significant. I cried in my car when they told me. Happy tears for once. The promotion means I can finally do something I've been thinking about for a while. Get the kids into therapy. Emily's 17 now and about to leave for college. Nathan's 12 and hitting that awkward middle school phase. And both of them had a parent abandon them when they were young. I found a therapist who specializes in family trauma and abandonment issues. She's been incredible. Emily opened up in ways I didn't expect, talking about how she used to blame herself for Robert leaving, wondering if she'd been a better daughter, whether he would have stayed. Hearing her say that broke my heart into pieces. Nathan's sessions have been different. He doesn't remember Robert, so his therapist is helping him process what it means to not have a father figure and how to build his identity without that. It's been really good for him. I'm in therapy too. Turns out carrying the weight of single parenthood and betrayal for 8 years does a number on you.
Who knew?
The divorce is moving forward. Robert signed the papers without contesting anything. I think he finally realized there was no coming back from this. His lawyer reached out once trying to negotiate some kind of visitation arrangement with the kids, but Emily and Nathan both said no. They're old enough that the court takes their wishes into consideration. As for the lake house situation, Robert's mother gave me the full story. When Robert's father wrote his will, he was furious about what his son had done. The clause requiring reconciliation was his way of forcing Robert to face consequences. If Robert didn't reunite with us, the property would go to a children's charity that supports single-parent families. The irony is almost poetic. Since I refused to reconcile, Robert doesn't get the house. His mother told me he tried to contest the will, arguing the clause was manipulative or unfair or some legal nonsense. The lawyers shut that down quickly. A will is a will. The property is being sold. The proceeds are going to that children's charity. Robert's mother said she thinks that's exactly what her husband would have wanted in this scenario. Robert called from a different number last week. I don't know how he got past my block, but he did. I answered before I realized who it was. I just want you to know I'm sorry, he said. No hello, just straight into it. Not about the house. About everything. You deserved better. The kids deserved better. I didn't respond for a long moment. Then I said, yeah, we did. Are they okay? They're thriving. That's good. That's really good. His voice cracked. Can you tell them I said?
No, interrupta.
Whatever you want to say, you had 8 years to say it. You don't get to use me as a messenger now. I hung up, blocked that number too. Emily saw me afterward and asked who it was. I told her. She nodded once and said, "Good for you, Mom. We're planning the Disneyland trip for winter break." Emily's been making spreadsheets. She gets that from me, with all the rides and restaurants she wants to try. Nathan keeps watching YouTube videos of the park and narrating them at dinner. I bought them new suitcases last week. It felt like such a small thing, but Nathan was so excited about his. It's got his favorite soccer team's logo on it, that he kept rolling it around the house. Emily rolled her eyes, but I caught her smiling. Some nights, I still can't believe this is real. That we made it through. That we're not just surviving anymore. We're actually living. I went out with some friends from work last Friday. Just drinks and appetizers, nothing fancy, but it was the first time in months I'd done something purely for myself. They asked about the divorce, about Robert showing up again. "Are you angry?" one of them asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said. "I'm not angry anymore. I'm just relieved. Like I finally closed a door that's been open for 8 years. And it's true. I don't think about Robert much anymore. When I do, it's not with rage or hurt. It's more like remembering a natural disaster that happened a long time ago, terrible while it was happening, but now it's just part of the past. My daughter is thriving in school, talking about college majors and career plans. My son is one of the top players on his soccer team and has friends who come over to practice in our backyard. We have movie nights and inside jokes and a rhythm to our lives that feels stable and good. We don't need rescue. We don't need a hero father figure swooping in with money and apologies. We're already whole. Update 2. This will probably be my last update unless something major happens. It's been 3 months since I last wrote, and life has moved forward in ways I didn't expect. The divorce is finalized. I got the papers in the mail 2 weeks ago. I sat in my car outside the post office and stared at them for a solid 10 minutes. 16 years of marriage, officially dissolved. I thought I'd feel sad or relieved or angry or something big and definitive. Instead, I just felt light. I drove straight to the tattoo parlor I'd been eyeing for months and got a small design on my wrist, a semicolon. The therapist I've been seeing told me it represents continuation. A place where the author could have ended the sentence, but chose to keep going. That's me. I chose to keep going. Emily got her college acceptance letters. She's going to study psychology at a state school about 2 hours away, close enough to visit, far enough to have her own life. She wants to work with kids who've experienced family trauma. She told me I inspired her, which made me cry in the middle of the grocery store. Nathan made the varsity soccer team at school. He's only in 7th grade, so this is huge. I've been going to every game, even the ones that start at 7 in the morning on Saturdays. His coach pulled me aside last week and said Nathan's one of the most coachable kids he's ever worked with. He's got a good head on his shoulders, the coach said. You're raising a good kid. I'm not going to lie. I went home and ugly cried into a pillow for 20 minutes. Work is going well. The management position is challenging, but in a good way. I'm actually using my brain for something other than survival logistics. I hired 2 people for my team last month, and I'm mentoring one of them, a single mom in her 30s who reminds me of myself 8 years ago. I try to be the kind of boss I wish I'd had back then. The Disneyland trip happened over winter break. It was everything I'd hoped for and more. We stayed for 4 days, rode every ride, ate way too much junk food, and took about 1,000 photos. Nathan met a character mascot of his favorite Disney character and literally cried with joy. Emily pretended to be too cool for everything, but I caught her tearing up during a fireworks show. On the last night, we sat on a bench in the park waiting for a ride back to the hotel. Both kids were exhausted, leaning against me on either side. This was the best trip ever, Nathan said sleepily. Yeah, Emily agreed. Thanks, Mom. I kissed both their heads and thought about all the years I'd wondered if I was enough. If I could give them a good life without their father. If they'd resent me someday for not trying harder to keep the family together. I have my answer now. I was always enough. We were always going to be okay. Now for the part some of you are probably curious about. Robert. His mother told me he moved to a different state. Got a job managing a warehouse. She said he's sober now. Apparently Isabella's gambling addiction came with a drinking problem, and he developed one too. He's been clean for 6 months. She asks sometimes if she can show him pictures of the kids. I told her that's between her and them. Emily said she doesn't care either way. Nathan said no. I don't hate Robert anymore. I don't really feel anything about him at all. He's just someone I used to know who made catastrophically bad choices. Those choices don't define my life anymore. Isabella reached out to me 2 months ago. I almost blocked her immediately, but curiosity got the better of me. She sent me a long, rambling message about how I'd stolen Robert from her. How I'd ruined her life by refusing to reconcile with him. How she'd lost her meal ticket and now had to actually support herself and her kids. I read it twice, then responded with one sentence. You should probably talk to a therapist about your victim complex. Then I blocked her. Emily saw the message before I deleted it. I'd left my phone on the counter while making dinner. She read it over my shoulder and snorted. That woman is delusional, she said. Yep. Are you okay? Honestly?
Yeah.
I am. And I meant it. Last week I did something I never thought I'd do. I went on a date. One of the vendors who works with my company asked me to dinner. He's nice, divorced, has 2 kids of his own. We went to a quiet restaurant and talked for 3 hours. About work, about our kids, about terrible reality TV shows we're embarrassed to admit we watch. It wasn't earth-shattering, but it was nice. He texted me the next day asking if I'd want to do it again. I said yes. I'm not looking for a replacement father for my kids. I'm not looking for someone to save me, but I'm open to the possibility of something good, something healthy. I told Emily about the date. She raised her eyebrows and said, "Mom, are you dating?" "Maybe." "Is that weird?" She hugged me. "It's not weird. You deserve to be happy." Nathan was less enthusiastic. "Is he going to come to my soccer games?" "If we keep seeing each other, and it gets serious, maybe. Would that be okay?"
He thought about it.
"Only if he doesn't try to coach me from the sidelines." "That's annoying." "Fair enough. I don't know where things will go with this guy. Maybe nowhere. Maybe somewhere good. But the point is I'm open to it. I'm not closed off anymore. I'm living my life instead of just surviving it." Robert's father's money for the kids is in trust funds now. Emily will get hers when she turns 18 next year. Nathan gets his at 18 too. It's enough for college, a car, maybe a down payment on an apartment someday. Not life-changing money, but life-helping money. I'm grateful for it. But we would have been okay without it too. I've learned something over these past 8 years. Resilience isn't about never getting knocked down. It's about getting back up and building something new with the pieces. Robert knocked us down.
Hard.
But we got back up. And we built something beautiful. My kids are happy, healthy, and whole. They have a mother who shows up every single day. They have grandparents who love them unconditionally. They have stability and support and a future full of possibilities. And me? I have a career I'm proud of, kids who make me laugh every day, and the knowledge that I survived the worst thing I could imagine and came out stronger. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter. I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm just living. Finally, fully living. And that's the best revenge I could ever get.
Alright, that's it for today. See you in the next one.